What made you quit a job on the spot? I was working the night shift at this 24-hour gas station downtown. The pay sucked, but I needed money for college, and my manager Rick seemed cool when he hired me. For 3 months, everything was normal. I'd stock shelves, ring up customers, clean the bathrooms, basic stuff. Rick would stop by around midnight to drop off paperwork and chat for a few minutes. Then I started noticing weird things. Rick would always park behind the building instead of out front. He'd come in through the back door carrying these black duffel bags that he'd take straight to his office. I figured it was just money for the registers or supplies. None of my business, right? I was making $8 an hour to mind the store, not ask questions about what my boss did after hours. But the bags kept getting bigger, and Rick started acting nervous whenever customers came in while he was there. He'd duck into his office and wait until they left before coming back out. One Thursday night around 2 a.m., Rick showed up with 2 other guys I'd never seen before. They looked rough. One had prison tattoos covering his arms, and the other kept checking his phone like he was expecting trouble. They went straight to Rick's office and locked the door. I could hear them talking in low voices, but couldn't make out what they were saying. Then I heard something that made my blood freeze. The sound of money counting machines. Not the little counter we used for the registers, but industrial-grade machines that banks use. The kind that count thousands of bills in minutes. This went on for 2 hours. The machines running constantly while these guys sorted through stacks and stacks of cash. Way more money than any gas station should have on a Tuesday night. Around 4 a.m. they finished whatever they were doing. The 2 strangers left through the back door carrying different bags than they'd brought in. Rick came out of his office looking sweaty and nervous. "Hey Tyler, you didn't see anyone here tonight, right?" he said, trying to sound casual. "Just you working alone like always?" I nodded, but my hands were shaking as I restocked the cigarette display. Rick patted me on the shoulder and said I was a good employee who minded his own business. The next week, FBI agents showed up at my house asking questions about Rick and the gas station. Turns out they'd been watching the place for months. Rick was using it as a money laundering operation for some drug dealers across town. Those black bags were full of dirty cash that needed to be cleaned. Rick would run it through fake sales at the gas station, making it look like legitimate business income. The counting machines were separating clean bills from marked ones. The agents showed me surveillance photos of Rick meeting with known drug dealers. They had video of cars pulling up behind the building at all hours. License plates connected to major trafficking operations. They asked if I'd seen anything suspicious, if Rick had ever involved me in moving money or falsifying sales records, if I knew about the after-hours meetings with criminal associates. I told them everything I'd witnessed. The bags, the counting machines, the nervous behavior. They said I'd been working in the middle of a federal investigation without knowing it. But here's the part that made me quit on the spot. The agents told me Rick had been claiming I was part of his operation. He'd been telling his criminal buddies that his night shift employee was helping launder money and could be trusted. My name was in their communications. Drug dealers knew who I was, where I worked, what shift I covered. If Rick got arrested, they might think I was cooperating with police and come after me for revenge. I called Rick that same day and told him I was done. Didn't give 2 weeks notice, didn't ask for my final paycheck, just said I quit effective immediately and hung up the phone. Rick got arrested 3 days later. The FBI raided the gas station at 6 a.m. and found $2 million in cash hidden behind false walls in his office. They also found records showing he'd laundered over $10 million through fake transactions. The new manager who replaced him found my last paycheck in Rick's desk. Apparently Rick had been planning to short me $40, probably figured I'd never notice since I quit so suddenly. I never went back for that money. $40 wasn't worth the risk of being connected to a federal money laundering case. Sometimes the best decision you can make is walking away from a bad situation before it gets worse. The gas station closed permanently 6 months later. Now there's a coffee shop in that building, and every time I drive past it, I think about how close I came to accidentally becoming part of a criminal enterprise.